The following program contains the opinions of the host, guests, and call-in participants. These do not necessarily represent the views of this show's distributors or sponsors. This program may contain obscene, profane, or otherwise objectionable language. Viewer discretion is advised. Hey, coming to you cordless, everybody. Had to get a little kinks out of the work again there. I don't know if you caught that, but whatever. It's Monday night, June 16th, 2025. I am Jim Peters. Welcome to another edition of Jim Peters at Night. This is episode number 238 for keeping score at home. Now, we had I've been off for a week. I had to go out of town for the longest funeral we don't even want to get into this. It was 4 days, right? Okay, fine. Relative dies. I guess whatever. I've decided I don't want to go out that way. That's what I've decided. All right, we took a week off. Our last show was on Thursday, the 6th, was it? With Bruce Solheim. Now, we had a really interesting thing happen there. That show, okay, when we do these programs, we're on six platforms here, and each platform records every show that we do, besides broadcasting live. So as soon as it's done, usually within 5 minutes anyway, they post the archive copy, correct? Okay. Now, on top of that, we keep a redundant archive copy that we record here simultaneously in case everything goes to hell, right? Got that? Okay. What's that, 7 copies? All right. So the show with Bruce Solheim on June 6th, uh, it didn't get recorded anywhere. Not only did all 6 of our distributors fail to record it, the copy we recorded here, the backup copy we recorded here in the studio, turned out to be blank. Now, I can't explain this to save my goddamn life. This is the weirdest freaking thing ever. And also, I should point out this. It's not that it didn't record at any of our outlets. It did. They were all blank files. They were blank copies. Now, the really weird thing is, on top of all that, the really weird thing is I had people tuned into the show in various places who said they couldn't watch it because the screen was blank. Okay, fine. But the counts, our distributors keep counts, like YouTube, you can see how many people watch it at any particular time. According to the counts, people were watching. I can't explain this all. At any rate, here's the point. My bottom line is that there's no copies of the show. I have no idea if anybody saw it. I mean, if you actually watched it, would you send me an email? Or I did not boot up the text messages tonight. I probably should have done that. We're not taking calls this evening, but I forgot to turn on the text messages. After a week being gone, my brain is fuzzy. As you'll notice from the intro here, I screwed that up. But I don't understand what happened. Now, Bruce Solheim, he has a theory. At the beginning of that show, about 5-10 minutes into his interview, we played a recording of a song he wrote that was recorded by AI completely. It's an AI recording. I'm a former professional musician and also a former record producer. I could not tell. It scared the crap out of me. I could not tell this was a AI recording. And I know all the little benchmarks to listen to, and I could not find it. Even in the second pass, I couldn't tell. But my point is, he thinks that playing that somehow triggered some sort of copyright filter or something somewhere where the whole thing got screwed up. Now, I don't understand why that would end up affecting our local backup copy. That I don't understand. So it's really, really weird. his theory is the best one I've heard about the fact. Also, there's a possibility that the AI recording might have tripped some sort of copyright issues too, even though he owns the copyright to that song. Even though that's normally that will get if you have the person the person who owns the copyright on your show. Like we've played music videos by Gun Hill Road, Michael Harrison's band, on the show several times, and of course, since he's on the show, we don't have any trouble getting through the copyright filter because of that. Any rate, I it's a enigma wrapped in a mystery. I have no idea. So if you saw this show, drop me a line at jim@jimandnight.com if you actually watched any part of it. I'd appreciate it because right now even though the counts say people watched it, I have no evidence that anyone did. And like I said, the two friends I know that tried to tune in, they got blank screens. So and we have that show is lost to the ether. We have no backup copy of it, nothing. It's completely gone. First time in 237 shows this has happened. We've had times in the past where one particular outlet didn't carry the show. That's happened. We've had a couple times where YouTube crapped out or Rumble crapped out. That's happened before, but all of them, no. And our backup copy, never. It's just the weirdest damn thing ever. So that's where we are tonight. But the good news here I have for you is that our show apparently is getting enough buzz among the A-list community in America where we're now suddenly having no trouble booking guests. We have the rest of the month booked. We're already taking a guest for July. I mean, it's almost kind of the point now where we have more people want to come on than we have spots available for them. And for me, a guy who's working completely alone, that's a pretty cool thing. I'm very appreciative of this. This is very good. I think word has gotten out that we actually know what the hell we're doing, and that's a good thing. So tonight, Don Zorro, our old friend, intelligence operative, and lover of women, is supposed to be coming on, but he has not shown up yet. So we're doing this live, folks. What can I tell you? So we try to have our guests check in at 5 minutes to 9 Eastern, so that we can do a quick mic and camera check. But he's off somewhere. So and I want he's a busy guy. So this is not surprise me. So it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't show up. So we'll just go on alone. And tomorrow night we got a guy named Mark Beckman. He's the author of. Let me get his book right here. I know what it's about. Excuse me. He's the author of Some Future Day: How AI is Going to Change Everything. He's an entrepreneur and a tech guy. We're going to talk about AI with him. That's tomorrow night. He can only be on for 30 minutes. So the second half of tomorrow's program, where we usually take phone calls, our regular caller Think is going to be doing a little piece that he's put together on crop circles. And Think is a fascinating guy, easily one of the most interesting callers we've ever had. He's been calling into the show for ages now, and so he wrote me and said, can I do this?" I said, absolutely can. So so basically we have two guests tomorrow. Think is going to do the second half. He's going to report on crop circles, and we're going to maybe show some pictures, that sort of thing. That should be pretty cool too. He knows what he's doing. I really appreciate his input and also his participation in this show. He's made it enormously more interesting than I alone could ever do. Because let's face it, man, there's not a lot going on here. you know, I just I went to a 4-day funeral, and I'm 69 years old, and I'm thinking, is this really? Is this all there is? I mean, Jesus, we don't even want to go there. Of course, I am going there because it's my show and I'm talking. So anyway, to go on, Wednesday we have psychologist Dr. Gilda Carl. She's written a book called, and I love this, the book is called Real Men Don't Go Woke. And my God, do I have a lot of questions for her. We're gonna and she's on, if I'm right, yes, she is. She's on live. So we're gonna take your calls. If you've got questions for this woman, please call in. Please. That's Wednesday. Thursday, Jennifer Oliver O'Connell, our old friend from Red State, is joining us. She joined us for Juneteenth because I make fun of her the fact that she's just another angry white woman, but she's not white. And that's her idea of humor here at Jim Peters at Night. But she likes it, she appreciates it. So she's going to talk about, and she's way better than the we had some white chick booked for that. And I thought, no, it's Juneteenth. No, no. So we got Jennifer coming on. So that's good. That's on Thursday. Next Monday, on the 23rd, Mark Gober is joining us, and he has written a book called "An End of the Upside Down Reset" about the attempted liberal reset of globalization on the planet politically. Uh, it's a fascinating book. He's written 7 books in what he calls the Upside Down series. This is the latest one, came out just a few weeks ago. He's going to join us, and we have the entire month booked up here. I would read you some more, except you that's going to bore you. So yeah, but we guess, as the boomers like to say, we got it going on. And God knows I am a boomer, so I guess I got it going on. Now, if you just tuned in, well, of course you did, because we've only been on for 11 minutes now. About an hour ago, Trump left the G7 summit in Calgary. He left early because of the war in Israel and Iran, or the war in Iran, the Israel-Iran conflict. He left early. He is warning people to get out of Tehran. Uh, Apparently, he knows something's going to happen, and he refused to sign the statement that the G7 put out, saying that they wanted monitors for Iranian nuclear enrichment, and Trump said, "No, we want no nuclear enrichment in Iran." He's very, very, very adamant about this, that Iran is not going to have a nuclear weapon. And I thought about this, and he's absolutely right, because if Iran does get a nuclear weapon, all hell breaks loose. Now, I have a little bit of an apology and a correction issue here. I've said this because this is maybe going back to January, I think, of this year, about 6 months ago. When we were, I'll be perfectly blunt. When we were on Blog Talk Radio, we got many more calls than we do now. And Blog Talk Radio folded on January 31st. So we still take phone calls here, not tonight. Let me tell you about this too. The reason we are sporadic on the phone calls, turning them on and off, because we pay for every single time. We pay for the amount of time the line is open. We pay per minute. So that's so we don't pay so much per call, but we pay for leaving the line open. So I generally I like to put aside set times when we take calls, and when we don't, depending on what's going on in the show. If we have a big time guest, I know the show's going to run late, or like tonight. Tonight there was just a lot of news because we were gone for a week. Tomorrow night we are going to take calls. Anyway, so when we're on Blog Talk Radio, we got many more callers. We had a guy who called in several times in December and January, about 6 months ago, claiming, and based on his accent, I assume this was legit. He claimed, and I can't remember what name he used, but he claimed that he was an Iranian journalist living in Singapore. Now, because of the telephone, the IP address, I confirmed the fact he was calling from Singapore. And that, that's cool that we get international phone calls. That's kind of a cool deal too. Anyway, this guy said, and I believed him because I was thinking the same thing. He said that the reality was that Iran already had a nuclear bomb, that they had already had one, and they had several of them, like a handful. Now, you have to understand, just for a little historical context here, when the United States dropped the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945, we had 2 bombs. Now, actually, we had 3, but for lack of a better term, we wasted one of them. We had to on the Trinity test. We tested it in the desert of Nevada. We blew it up because no one knew what was going to happen. There's a lot of people, a lot of really renowned physicists, who actually thought that setting off that bomb was to start a nuclear chain reaction and would destroy the entire universe. And that sounds crazy. It's not that crazy. They had a legitimate point of view. I mean, if you know anything about physics, you understand why they thought that. And so there's some people actually thought this was going to be the end of humanity, that just even testing this thing. So anyway, we had 3 bombs. We ran 1 on a test, and then we dropped 1 on Hiroshima, and then we dropped 1 on Nagasaki. Now Truman and the American government assumed that after the Hiroshima dropped, they assumed Japan would, and Japan said, "Screw you, no, we're not." So we're gonna so they dropped the bomb on Nagasaki, and then Japan surrendered. But if Japan hadn't surrendered then, we're out of luck. We don't have any more nuclear bombs. Now this guy said that he thought that maybe they had up to 5, and that was my guess too, based on what I knew in my sources. I actually thought they already had a nuclear bomb. Now it's plainly obvious now that was incorrect, because I think if they had one, they would have used it already. They would have used it in the last week, based on what's going on. All right. Don Zorro, I think, is here. Let's try putting him on the screen. Don, are you there?
I am here.
Okay. I can see you kind of, but there's almost no light.
I know. I will fix that in just a second, but I was taking a wonderfully restful nap, and I realized, holy crap, I'm supposed to be on the air.
That's all right, man. It's okay. It's all right. I tell you what.
I'll get this fixed in a second.
You fix your light, and I'm going to prattle on for a few minutes here, okay? I'm going to take you off the screen, and you fix your light. I'll put you back.
All right.
Okay. Don's coming on in a second. So anyway, that's my point is here. That's my apology here. Is I was saying for several months that I already thought Iran had a nuclear weapon, and they apparently do not. And good for us, I guess. So because the thing is, I think they would have used it in the last few days if they had it. So it appeared, but this guy was a very cool guy calling up. Anyway, that happened in the last hour that Trump left the G7 summit early. He's warning people in Tehran to get out, and because he says it's going to get ugly. All right, I think, is Don ready here? All right, we're gonna put Don back on. Don,
okay, there we go. Oh, how's that?
Oh, you look good, man. You look good. You always look good.
How's it going?
It's a cowboy hat tonight.
Well, it's always a cowboy hat. It's just, I'm just going to leave it like that. That looks good.
Okay. All right. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I usually don't do that sort of thing. But I kind of woke up with a start and said, holy crap. I was literally just going to close my eyes for a minute. And, it's just the day is just catching up with me.
So people our age complain about not being able to sleep. I got to admit, I have no trouble whatsoever.
I have zero trouble sleeping. No. Just ask Mrs. Zorro. Mrs. Zorro just cannot stand how easily I fall asleep.
Well, forgive me. Have you noticed this? Virtually any woman postmenopausal cannot seem to sleep, from my experience anyway.
No, well, look. Let's be truthful about it. We don't give nearly 1/10 of a shit about as stuff as they do, so they're constantly worried about stuff that's for us it's like, yeah, all right, fine, we'll deal with it tomorrow. So that's the issue.
Is that what you're saying? That stuff doesn't deserve our attention, huh?
No, absolutely. This is just life when you don't give a crap about anything.
I just want to point out to the 5 women watching this that you said that. I didn't.
Oh, no, they're all saying the same thing. They know this is why they hate it. They want to know, why don't we give a crap about stuff? TV shows, our families. I'm not including in any of that the state of the world. They don't care about. They don't care about that. It's other stuff like why in the hell doesn't that apple crisp stay up when I put it in the oven? And they'll spend all night. And then, of course, at 3 o'clock in the morning, they'll figure it out. But they won't go to sleep after that. Then they'll get up and make some apple crisp. And then we wonder why they spend the whole day just kind of just pissed off, It's like, that's why they're so crabby. Oh, what the hell happened with the broccoli?
You
didn't tell me you wanted cheese sauce on that.
People on this show like you. Your viewership has always been very high, and I think that's one of the.
I may have just lost 46% of it, huh? No, I'm telling you, they know that I am not lying, and they're all just sitting there, just nodding their heads, going, "Yep, that's right. That son of a bitch I married, he can sleep through a freaking atom bomb, whether it's in Nagasaki or Hiroshima or the Middle East." In fact, the Middle East ones, nobody can stay awake through the. I don't know.
I've gotten in enormous amount of trouble. I have told people in my family that any man, especially our age, bothers. Why would you bother to get divorced? Because I hate to say it, but pretty much all straight women are pretty much all alike.
This is what I don't get about the gays and the marriage thing. 10 years ago, I'm saying, really, you want to do this, huh? It's like, what? Just stay, be friends. What?
I know.
Good Lord.
The thing is, I don't know about you. I know many people in the gay community here in Minneapolis. What they discovered after getting married, and then they discovered divorce.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Well, you probably know this. There's a very famous lesbian couple here in town who just had a unbelievably messy divorce. That's like, it's just like. Matter of fact, I actually these people, but I won't go into that.
And now you understand why the lawyers were all behind us. Those are the guys that show up to the gay pride parades, man. They are handing out all sorts of little, ID cards with rainbows on it. It's like, getting divorced? Come see me, baby. I've got something for you. Getting married? Come see me. I'll put out all of the papers you need.
This goes back 25 years. I've never talked about this on the show, but I am still supposedly one of only two people in the Twin Cities, straight people, who have been grand marshals of the gay pride parade. I am, yeah. So
okay,
I'm straight.
Unless there's video, this didn't happen.
No, that's actually true. So I'm in the parade, and I'm waving like my little pageant wave, and stuff. And this woman from Channel 9 News sticks a microphone in my face, and she says, "What does this day mean to you?" And my friend Lisa, who's walking next to and she knows I'm straight. She doubles over laughing.
And of course, you're not going to share the answer.
No. I said something. It took me about 5 seconds to come up with it. I think I said, "I think this day is very important to many, many people." That's what I said.
Yeah. Just ask them.
I've never shared that with you before, but that's true. That actually happened. So
no, well, that's okay. It's just you and me talking here. So
yeah, of course not. Right. I don't know if you heard. You probably didn't hear this. The last show I did before we took the week off with Bruce Solheim got completely lost to the ether. It not only didn't copy anywhere, but even our local copy here in the studio failed, and I don't know why. It's just the strangest thing. There's no copy.
You are the master of conspiracy theories, so yes, I can hardly wait for your assessment of the situation.
Well, the best description, or the best the explanation I've heard, is that we ran a piece of music on that show that was recorded entirely by AI, and I'm wondering if that screwed up some filter somewhere. That just
no, this is the copyright people got.
Yeah, that's right. That's
what it was. Yeah.
Although it was Bruce's copyright. It was actually his song. So normally that wouldn't be an issue, but that combined with the fact it was AI, I think might have screwed the whole thing up.
Yeah,
okay. I'm wondering.
Okay.
But anyway, but I did. But the local copy that we do in the studio failed too. It's really weird. So
I'm telling you, there's a good conspiracy here just waiting to be exposed, and I'd like it on my desk at 9 a.m., please. Because that's about as long as it would take to manufacture a good conspiracy theory. It's just pretty much overnight.
So okay, we have to talk about this because you and I both live in Minneapolis. This whole thing about these lawmakers getting killed this weekend. Terrible.
That was bad. And you know, it. Look, I'm just going to say the stuff that people don't say out loud. I mean, as soon as something like that happens, everybody just gets on their knees and says, please don't let it be somebody from my side.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
Because that's happening, then you have everybody getting any piece of information and trying to find some way to spin it so that it does not reflect badly on their side. I still don't understand what this guy was about because, of course, we haven't seen the manifesto. And that's a question I've always had. Have you noticed how long it takes to get the manifestos, number one? Number two, have you never noticed how long it takes to get the manifestos when it's something that shows that it's leftist thinking that is in the blame? Now, we haven't seen a thing yet, have we?
No.
Although, which
I have to. That Breitbart said that the quote unquote manifesto only consists of a list of names. That there's nothing else on it. So
yeah. Well, the targets. Okay, so maybe it's not really. Well, if that's true, then it makes sense that they wouldn't want to expose the people who are on the list. Not at this point, anyway, because we don't know if this guy had cohorts and compatriots that are just waiting to pick them up. But that was just absolutely awful. I just it is just a nightmare to imagine somebody coming in the middle of the night. What was it, like 3 a.m. when this guy showed up at the door? And then dressed up as somebody that you trust, an officer, and you know, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Who thinks straight? I can't think straight when I get up at 5:30 or 6, and it takes me a while to recalibrate and to imagine that this guy, takes advantage of that. But I'm surprised they gave him the $5 million bail. I don't see why in this case you just say no bail, zero, nothing.
No, I agree.
And I hope, I don't know. I hope that the city fathers and mothers don't let us down in this, and that when he is, we're not a death penalty state anymore, right?
No, but apparently some of these crimes could be federal, and there is federal death penalty.
Well, murder is federal.
Right. It's not used very often.
Yeah. So I hope they try him in some way so that they can use the death penalty. I applaud the current resurgence of the idea that the death penalty is something that needs to come back really, really strong. I'm tired of it, Jim. I am absolutely exhausted with the lawlessness that we see everywhere. Whether it's some fight between a bunch of hoochie mamas at McDonald's or people blocking our ways with their stupid protests, just the incredible lack of lawlessness, of just general respect. Look, it's even present in the way people drive, something as simple as that. If there's ever a place where you're going to show respect for your fellow man, it is on the road, where you are driving a 2,000-pound bullet.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Have been any more details about this clown?
I don't know if you heard this, but at his sentencing today, or at his bail hearing, he claims poverty even though he owns 7 cars. So, and the other thing is, I don't know if you heard this, Don. It's not just that he dressed up as a police officer, as a law enforcement officer. He even had police license plates on his vehicle.
Yeah, right. I heard about that, and on closer examination, they weren't legit plates. I don't think it was anything that he stole. It was just something that he made up that to look like it.
Yeah,
It was clever enough, but it reminds me a little bit of these sovereign citizen characters that assume that no laws apply to them, and so they make up their own license plates and their own
right.
registrations and proof of residency on the planet Mars, and that makes them foreign citizens, so that things just don't apply to them.
So
So
I don't, so, and that kind of let me segue into this. That kind of reminds me of uh, on Hot Air this weekend. John Stossel wrote a piece called "The Woke Right," and his fear is that what happened on the left, the extremism on the left, is now because conservatism is in charge, is now going to happen on the right too. And you're talking about all these guys with making up the sovereign guys making up their license plates. I mean, do you think there's any legitimate danger to this, or
no, 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 because the right is what it is because it is fed up, and that can take a number of appearances, right? I mean, people can get fed up and they do horrible things like this moron here, but I think by and large, and I mean the vast number of people that are that are on the right, just merely want to be able to get up and live their lives. That basically is what defines us on the right. We are not the ones who want to create new kinds of laws. We just want the old laws back, and that there's a distinct difference. And we, I think, on the right are more satisfied because we've got someone that we feel represents that general feeling sitting in the White House and people below him and somebody else waiting in the wings, J.D. Vance and others who will take up that mantle once Trump leaves office. So, no, I do not believe that the right poses the kind of danger that the left does. Do we have more guns than the left? Yes, but we don't tend to use them. You know,
right?
the you know, you want to put an end to all of this crap that goes on with the left, all these protests and things. These protests are not nearly as hard. Well, let me put it this way: it would not be difficult to get rid of all these protests with 1 5 gallon can of liquid ass. One can of liquid ass and a
The whoop ass.
really good spray and a really good drone with a sprayer on it. You can get rid of that crowd in 5 minutes, bro. And they'll all be throwing up. So they'll be busy. So you ever handcuff somebody while they're throwing up?
No,
Easiest thing in the world. Easiest thing in the world.
I've never done that. No,
Yeah.
I'm sure you have though. Like,
So
you're
start buying stock in liquid ass.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it does appear though that for all this BS, the public is still behind Trump. The survey that came out like today by Rasmussen said that he's still polling above 50% on almost everything.
And quite frankly, why wouldn't he in terms of international affairs, in terms of the economy? Because you know why a lot of people don't hear about the economy? It's because it's in good shape.
Yeah, that's right.
Things are good. Are we talking about eggs anymore? Are we talking about the price of gas
Right,
anymore? Are we
right.
talking about the things we were talking about 1 year ago? No,
Yeah.
no, we're not. We're talking about Israel and Iran. We're talking about well, God help us. We're talking about Pride Month now. You know, what was the big thing that there were that the left was complaining about? They're complaining about us honoring the 250th birthday of our honored military Are you serious? Are you out of your
I
minds?
know.
You really, this is what you're going to start clutching your pearls over?
Right.
That we're saying we have a wonderful military, we have wonderful veterans, and we're going to honor the history of all of these veterans. This is where they're going to hang their hat for protest.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord. The left is in, okay, for the fourth time in a row. Where's my hand? There it is. For the
Uh-huh.
fourth time in a row, I am going to say it is the last gasp of the small um, gas powered appliance power tool that whines like crazy when it's just about to run out of gas.
Yeah, right. That's right.
And so just keep that in mind. Anytime you hear the left do what it does, that's what this is all about. It's the last gasp. It is people ignoring them. And my God, the left hates to be ignored. They hate it like wine and Cheerios.
Yeah.
You ever had wine and
Yeah.
Cheerios instead of milk?
No, I've never had it. No. Never done that.
Don't. I avoid it at all
Yeah.
costs.
I tried water once. That's terrible.
Oh, God.
That doesn't
Oh,
work.
man.
I'm not
All
I'm
right.
not fond of milk. That's my problem, but, whatever.
Oh, you're not fond of milk?
No, but I like cereal. So, yeah, and I put milk on my cereal, but I tried water once, but
All right.
my brother-in-law, he swore by it, but he was a professional chef, but no, he's not.
Ooh,
Doesn't work.
nice.
Yeah, God
Nice.
bless his soul. He's not with us anymore, but
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
how do they get out of this? They have nowhere to go. It's like the thing is, John Nolte was talking about this today. One of my favorite columnists. He writes for Breitbart. He said, the problem they have is that if they try to appeal to a broader base, they piss off the extreme left of the party, and if they try to appeal to the extreme left, no one else is interested, and they basically lock themselves into a rock and a hard place scenario. And how do they get out of this?
It's going to be a generational thing. The right in this country has to continue to keep its head in the right place, which is basically to say the right should not do what it traditionally does, which is to keep its head up its collective ass. The right has to continue philosophically just doing what they're doing, which is stay out of everybody's business and just do it. It's almost like the right has to adopt a semi-libertarian streak. The left will never do that. That's why they just have to die the natural death of a good cigar or a bad cigar. The stink will stay for quite a while, but eventually things will just turn to ashes. They're not going to get out of this, Jim.
Don,
That's the short
yeah,
answer. They're
Don,
not.
don't you think that the Republicans or the conservatives in general have already adopted a semi-libertarian stance? Because you know what?
Yes, more so than in the past because
Yeah,
they have realized what it looks like to be a so-called moderate. I used to consider myself after I went through the pain of being a Democrat. I decided I was moderate. Well, that whole moderate thing, God bless certain politicians who I think actually were people who had the right intentions, but couldn't, but really couldn't carry it off, and they didn't wanted to paint themselves as moderates. It just doesn't work because they didn't realize that in order to be a moderate, they had to adopt so many of the things about the left that are the part that sneaks into our consciousness. In other words, so much of the left is just wrong that if you adopt a little part of it because you want to be a moderate, then you are allowing the camel to continue to stick its nose into the tent. And
yeah.
so, yes, I think that there is a somewhat more libertarian streak that the right has done. And this is a natural part of the evolution. I don't fear this. I really do have come to understand that, and I think it's what keeps us from going out of our minds. It's what keeps us from being as depressed as we used to be when we were on the left. Remember what that was like?
Yeah, I
And
do.
when and how utterly depressed you were all the time, how angry you were all the time. Well, look at the left now. Are they any different? No, but they are louder because of the internet.
Yeah,
Okay, so the internet, as it always has, represents a small amount of people. So just allow all of that to go ahead and wash itself out of existence. And then when the people that are left, that remain, the people that remain, start to regain consciousness, then I think we'll be in a lot better shape. Look at the young men in this country now. Look at their attitude towards the military. Now they're all gung ho, and that's because of El Presidente. He has really made service
yeah,
service in the military attractive again. That's a wonderful thing. We don't have. There's a commercial on TV about where China is is these Chinese generals are like looking at videos
yeah.
of
I've
us and
seen that.
laughing at the
Right.
screen. Then Trump comes on, and they all kind of go, "Oh,
Yeah.
I knew
Right.
we mess up here."
Right.
And now it's like become cool. There are certain aspects of being on the right that are suddenly cool. I'll say, you white men, finally, the young white men have started to wake up. They're not rolling over anymore, and I do not fear that. As a brown Zorrophile, I I do not fear that. I do not fear that any more than good Jews fear good Christians,
Yeah.
you know, or
Right.
that any of us fear good Muslims. And boy, when I say by good Muslims, I don't mean the well behaved. I mean the ones that go way, way, way back into Islam, not the stuff that changed after Muhammad's death, and it kind of started to uh, f- fracture, and various little sects of that
Well,
came about.
you
So
look at just the country of Iran in general. I mean, these people are they're being dominated and controlled by a bunch of religious extremists. I mean, that's
right.
all there's to it. And I don't have to tell you this. 80% when the best polling that comes out of there, 80% of the populace is against the regime.
Here's your problem, though. We are in another year about to celebrate a revolution
Yeah,
where we kicked out another country, and I'm a little tired of hearing about this uh, group of people that they just want to get along, and it's the government. Okay, however, how passionate are you to really have your country back? You did this revolution. You had a revolution where you installed these guys. Why in the hell don't you have the cojones to revolt again and get rid of
yeah,
those people?
that's
That's
true.
my question.
Right. Well, the thing is, I mean, I don't have to tell you this, both Netanyahu and Trump are hoping that's what's going to happen. I mean, it appears they're trying to set this up so that the people can actually revolt.
Right. If you can sit by and see your country get torn apart because of the jerks that are running your country, and for really no other reason than that, and just go, oh, this isn't this awful, and do no more than that, man, if this doesn't motivate an internal revolution, then I
Well,
don't know what will.
yeah, they're hopeless. You're
Yeah,
absolutely right. If they
yeah,
can't do this now, the whole
yeah,
thing's hopeless. They
right,
kind of deserve their fate.
right,
I totally agree with you.
right.
Totally.
Well, of course you agree with me. I am Zorro.
That's right. Yeah. Also, I was going to mention the fact, you look younger without the mustache.
I will. Thank you. Thank you. This
I don't know if
is,
that was any of your impetus to do that, but
it's yeah, that was actually the real reason. I was just tired of looking like Zorro's grandfather. So,
did you know that shaving it off would make you look younger? Did you know that?
well, yeah.
I have to ask,
You
man.
are talking about the mustache, I hope.
Yeah, yeah, we are talking about the mustache. That's right. I ask questions. That's what I do. That's right. So here's pivot, and you're talking about you being a brown skinned individual. So
Mhm.
this didn't really make the news because of all the stuff that's been going on the last couple of weeks. But the Supreme Court basically ruled, and this is the real amazing thing, unanimously 9-0 that affirmative action is kaput. It's dead. And the
Yeah.
real amazing thing is, Kanjani, what's her name? Kajani Jackson, the new person on the court, who I have up to now basically considered incompetent. She wrote the majority opinion, and it was actually quite masterful. And
Yeah. Yeah. Like I say, even a squirrel, blind squirrel finds the nuts, right? Something like that. The clock is right to 2 times, or however many ways there are to describe it. But yet, even she cannot deny what is right in front of her, because how many times can you look stupid? She already, everybody already thinks that she's an idiot because she
yes,
can't define what a woman
right,
is,
right. I have
no
to
more
I
than
gotta stop you.
waltz.
There's 9 people on that court, and she's the only one that I actually think is an idiot. I mean, there's
Yeah,
other people I completely disagree with, but at
yeah,
least they seem cogent and not and intelligent. I actually think she's an idiot, but go ahead.
yeah. I agree with you, and I think pretty much everybody does. And so maybe she finally got the memo and says, "Okay, I've got one chance to finally, right this particular ship." Not this will be an aberration, though. This was just something that was so obvious. And by the way, don't think that she wrote the majority opinion because everybody just said, "Hey, let's give this over to Katanji Jackson for absolutely no reason." No, they gave it to the leftist black Supreme Court justice because they're trying to make some grand statement. You see, this is what I'm talking about. This is now it's the left that's trying to portray themselves as moderates. You see how this works?
Yeah,
We tried it. It didn't work for us. So let them try it for a while. It's not going to work for them either, but shh, shh, don't tell them that, because I'm going to enjoy this ride very much, to watch the left actually try and portray themselves as people that can make sense.
yeah. You're absolutely right, though. We as conservatives, and especially like you're talking about, you and I as former liberals too, because you're right. I
Yeah.
regularly think back to where I thought 20, 25 years ago, and almost don't believe it that I could actually like embrace some of that stuff. I'm almost embarrassed by it. But you look back, and you well going back like 50 or 60 years, we were the conservatives were the stalwarts who didn't want to budge on anything, and the Democrats were, at least they appeared that they wanted to help common people. And the amazing thing is, somehow in the last 20 years that all got completely screwed up. And the thing I find amazing, going back to this libertarian thing, I'm going to just use an example because this is actually in my talking points for tonight about the transgender issue. The thing is, people want to say, well, a lot of conservatives, like the Trump administration, they're against transgender people. No, the vast majority of people don't care. That's the thing. We're not against anything. Now, the
Right.
thing about trans men and women's sports, we care about that because it's intrinsically unfair. But you want to walk down the street wearing a dress and you're a dude, I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah. This is what people don't understand. You are correct. The only reason that I even have any issue with this is when they try and change the way that I speak, when they try and dictate that I have to do this, otherwise I'm a bad person, because of their complete lack of any sort of cogent logic. They say, well, it's not that we disagree, it's that I'm right and you're a jerk. This is the way that they they think and the way that they behave, and nobody wants this anymore, Jim.
No,
We're absolutely just fed up with this kind of nonsense.
right. John Nolte, same guy I was talking about before, he wrote a column about this today about the fact that the Wrap, which is an entertainment blog, uh, and you've been in the entertainment business off and on your life, so
Mm-hmm.
you understand this. Uh, they wrote a piece about the fact that this year the number of transgender characters in mainstream entertainment has gone way down, and of course, the transgender community, they look at that as bigotry, and and no, nobody cares,
Exactly.
especially
Nobody
because
cares.
the thing is, and I need to constantly bring this up, there are so few actual transgender people. That's the thing. They are a tiny, tiny minority, well under 0.1% of the population, well under. And yet somehow they should be in every one of it, every three television shows. We're in,
Well, it's not just they. It is not just they. It is also the blacks and other. It's not so much even Latinos. I don't notice Latinos so much. It's really only blacks. What's the population of black folks in this country? 13%.
right.
But you look at the commercials now, and then how many of them are in interracial marriages?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what that percentage is, but if you were to go by television, I honestly don't care about any of that. But it is just very funny. It's entertaining to me now at this point that
Yes.
how they keep pushing this. It's now become a little sport. If you want to have a little fun, grab yourself a nice bottle of your favorite adult beverage, and then when the commercials come on, give yourself a shot for every white male, every straight white male that you see in commercials. And you're not going to get very drunk.
No, you're
You're not. And if you want to put even a finer point on it, give yourself um, a shot for every straight white male that isn't kind of the idiot in a commercial, the point of a joke.
Oh, yeah.
When you have, it's very few commercials where you have, let's say, a black male, okay, where he isn't the kind of point of common sense in it. Everybody else is doing ridiculous things, and then he's the guy that comes on with the product that makes everybody go,
Right.
"Oh, you mean we could have been doing it like that all along?" So he's always the smart guy.
Yeah.
And look, that's fine, but it just to me speaks of an insecurity when you have to kind of make sure that that's the image. That's the image we got to show. Meanwhile, the white guys are like, "Oh well,
Yeah.
do." And the thing is that the white guys are home and they're laughing at the character because that's what you're supposed to do. When somebody ridiculous comes on, you're just supposed to have fun with it and let it be funny. But oh no, you can't do it with any other race besides them. There's a little bit of that, a little tiny bit of it now. In fact, I think there used to be more. People of minority groups just seem to be afraid to do anything or be cast as anything where they are not to be treated with respect, man. Show
Uh-huh.
me some respect. Uh, You know, if it's funny, it's funny. If it's
Yeah.
funny, it's funny. But just on that subject, go to the internet and you're finding many more white comedians who aren't afraid to take to make the racial jokes, and you'll find an equal number also of black comedians who also are doing more of the Dave Chappelle type stuff,
Yeah. Right.
you know. And I find it wonderfully refreshing because that is true equality. If you are going to allow yourself to look like the jerk for comedic moment, that's what I call equality.
I spent the last week at a funeral out of town, and you know this, my family is I'm largely Albanian, and
Mhm.
if you go to New York City and
I thought that was lesbian. I'm sorry.
no,
Oh my God, I've had that.
no,
Okay,
no, 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 no,
Albanian lesbian. I get that wrong all
no,
the time. Okay, so
not
they're
the
not
same, not
lesbians.
the same
They're
thing.
Albanians. Jeez,
No.
I'll never get that wrong again.
You grew up in New York City, and I don't think this was true when you were growing up as a kid, but now, if you want to, because what you were talking about made me think about how how the comedy made fun of the Italian mob, and now
Right.
now it's the Albanian mob that will touch you. I mean, and we had a very interesting conversation. Our family were sitting at a bar, talking about the Albanian mob because they're serious fuckers.
Yes. Well, before the Albanians, remember who everybody was suddenly afraid of were the Russian mob and the Chinese mob.
Yeah,
Let's say,
right.
okay, those guys don't play.
Yeah, these things kind of go in and out of fashion. There's always some
Exactly.
group that right now it's the Albanians, right? I know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
pretty funny. Oh man. So your birthday's coming up, right?
Yeah, very soon. Very soon. Don
You're gonna be
Zorro de Leo.
you're gonna be 70, right?
I'm gonna be 70. That's
Yeah.
right. Even though this face belies that.
No, it does totally. Totally. And you're in better shape than any guy I know my age,
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, well, this doesn't happen by accident, okay?
No,
You got to work at
no.
it.
Well, I mean, yeah, but you had a really good start too. The genes are good, and then you built on
God.
that.
Yeah, they say black don't crack. I said, well, I got to come up with something. Brown don't frown. I
Yeah,
don't
you
know,
do.
something like that, something like that. But you are right. I had some in my family, some immediately good genes, and I am ever so grateful.
Yeah, my
For them.
mother came to this funeral this last weekend. She's 100. She's like the star of the place. She's the star of any place she walks into at this point. I mean, people just go nuts.
I have a friend, a very very dear friend, who is going to be 100 in October, and I absolutely love this woman. She's a real character. I love asking her about the old days because the short-term memory is what it is, but she can remember stuff that we have in common. Well, literally, she was born a week before my mother. How do you like that?
I'll be damned.
Literally a week before my mother was.
Uh-huh.
So Grandma Zorro and this grandma, they would have interesting conversations had my mother lived. But check this out. So she's going to be 100, right? She just had double cataract surgery. I mean, what do you? I call that optimism, don't
Yeah,
you?
that's right. And now of course, she can see even better.
Now she can see even better. Oh
Yeah.
God, and I, it makes my day when I can flirt with her. Oh my God, it's just so much fun. We have a great time. I really love this lady. So.
And she knows, of course, how much flirting you've done, how good you are at it.
Well, I am legendary.
I know that's right. All right. All right. I guess I'm going to let you go now.
Okay. Well,
Anything you wanna add?
I'm sorry that the tornado was so late bringing me here. That horse sometimes,
Oh no, it's all right.
He has to stop to pee, and it takes 15 minutes. That is a very virile horse.
Yeah. Do you have any trouble with that? Can I ask?
No, hell no.
I don't either. I don't have any trouble with it either.
Yes.
I know.
Yeah, it's like the guy said that do. It's like, what the hell's the matter with you? Fix something. That shouldn't be. Get going there. Get the plumbing fixed.
I can't thank you enough for doing this. I love having you on. The viewers love having you on. Everybody loves
good.
it.
Good. Well, drop a like there. What do they say on the internet? Drop a like. If there's something you like about this whole thing, let me know.
Yeah, really. Yeah. And I don't say this enough, frick, subscribe. I really don't. I don't. If you watch this show and you like it, subscribe, for Christ's sake, on one of these.
Yeah. I watched the YouTube version of nobody's put the like on it, so I'm usually like the only one, even though I know people watch the thing.
Yeah, so I know.
Like
I'm not good enough. I'm not good at reminding people of this. So and that's not a good thing, because I know there's people like pounded into people's heads, but it seems to work. So
I'll make it my assignment to make sure that happens next time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very
Next time I'm on with the rest of the crew, right?
Yeah. Well, no, you can't make it that night. At least that's my
Oh, that's
impression.
right. Okay.
Right.
All right. All right.
Right. So yeah, yeah. So unfortunately, no. The crew is coming. We are reviving the All-Star panel in 2 weeks from tonight, but you can't
Okay.
be there, which is
Yes.
unfortunate. So
Well, when the sun comes out, you can't see the stars.
you you are really good at entertaining bullshit. All right. Okay. I'll see you. All right. Take
See you
care.
later.
Bye bye. That's Don Zorro, intelligence operative and lover of women. Can't go wrong with that shit, man. You can't. It's like we got it going on here. We know how to entertain and inform you at the same time. So I'm just going to remind you again who's coming on tomorrow. I got to look because it's all. Yeah, Mark Beckman's coming tomorrow. He wrote the book Some Future Day: How AI is Going to Change Everything, and Think is coming on the second time. Our regular caller, Think, he's going to do a report on crop circles, and we will take your phone calls all night long. That's tomorrow. So I got a few notes here. I don't want to. We didn't take calls tonight because we've been gone for a week. So usually I want to prattle on endlessly. So I just wanted to point this out that I like to talk about stuff you probably haven't heard in the news or that nobody's heard. And this is one of those things. There's a app called the Pentagon Pizza Tracker. I'm not kidding about this. And what it does is it tracks 5 different pizza parlors that are really close to the Pentagon about how often people order from those places. So they don't even know, you don't know where the pizza's going, but it's assuming always that a certain percentage of them are going to the Pentagon, because if you work at the Pentagon and you order pizza, these are the 5 places you can order it from. One is a Domino's. I know that. I think the other 4 are mom and pop establishments, but they're all and they noticed last Friday or Thursday night actually, before, as the Iranian Israeli conflict was just heating up, the pizza tracker for the Pentagon pizza tracker, saw a massive increase of pizza orders in the evening of Thursday night. The assumption being that people knew they were going to be there for a long night. That's the assumption. So that's one way to find out what's going on at the Pentagon, I suppose. Now I'm going to talk about this, even though this isn't in my notes. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal a couple days ago. I can't remember; it was Thursday, Friday, about the fact that the Pentagon is now claiming that the vast majority of stuff, or basically all the stuff that you've ever heard about UFOs, has been planted by them as a disinformation campaign to take your eye off of their stealth programs. In other words, they're saying that this entire issue is bullshit and that they basically made it up to keep both you and our adversaries away from the stuff they're really working on. That's crap. That's complete utter crap. Now, and here's the thing about it that's crap. Some of that's true. In other words, they're not lying about the fact that they've done this regularly to take eyes off of stuff they're actually working on. There's no doubt that's happened. No doubt at all. That's for sure. The problem is it's not all of it. And this is what bothers me about the press. And I don't understand. They're so stupid about the fact that everything's always an either or scenario. They can't seem to wrap their mind around 2 things happening simultaneously to save their goddamn lives. And so what's happening here is the Pentagon's right about some of it. I don't know if it's the majority of it. It probably is. Now, if you watch this show, I've said that 95% of all reports of UFOs, alien abductions, 95% of it is bullshit. The problem is the 5% that's left is still voluminous. That's the problem. And so they're saying that it's all to this. No, that's crap. Especially because, and I have a tie to this guy. I'm going to try to have him on the show. Is Robert Salas, who was the commander at Malmstrom Air Force Base in 1967, when the UFOs apparently came and shut all the missiles down, 10 of them. The Army's now saying that they had a top secret project that actually did that. No, they didn't. It's 1967. We can't do that now. Now, they'll claim, well, you can do it with an electromagnetic pulse. Yeah, you can, but not in the manner it was done, which was very, very orderly and deliberate. If you set on a electromagnetic pulse, not only do the missiles shut down, everything shuts down. Communications, it's indiscriminate. Nothing works. That's not what happened here. And Salas has gone on defense. I mean, he's saying the same thing. The thing is, this is a lie. They're perpetrating a lie because the people at the Pentagon, this has gotten out of the bottle and they want to stick it back in. That's what's going on here. And I'm really, really pissed off about this because the fact of the matter is they can't, and there are people all over the place who are saying, yeah, the UFO thing, yeah, it's not really real. You know, it's like, yeah, those reports were real, but the thing is they were planted. No, some of them were planted. That's the thing. These two things can happen simultaneously. There's no reason they can't, and that's exactly what occurred. The Pentagon has been floating misinformation about UFOs for years. They've done it for their own purposes, and God bless them. You know, their job is to keep things secret. Okay, fine, but not all of them are. It's like the thing with the crop circles. Now, things coming on tomorrow, but the thing is, and I try to explain this to my friends, and they laugh at me. There's real crop circles and fake crop circles. The fake ones are made by humans, and there's a lot of them. There are. Well, how can you tell the difference? Yeah, here's how you can tell the difference. And I've already talked to things, so I know he's going to be talking about this. The crops in an actual real crop circle are laid down completely differently than the way they are by humans using boards. It's they're basically interwoven together, and not to mention the fact there's evidence, strong evidence of radiation too. There and there's this thing. It's just I'm amazed by what the press buys about the two guys. I think their names was Doug and Dave in Britain, who the press there and I'm sure this was floated by the UK government. They said that these two guys made all the crop circles. No, they didn't. No, first of all, they show up all over the world. Secondly, they've been showing up for at least 200-300 years. Although it's definitely ramped up in the last 50 years. These guys did not do all of them. It's like, and yes, there are clubs in Britain that go around and actually do create crop circles. That's true too. But the thing is that once again, it's not an either or scenario. There are real crop circles and fake crop circles, and people who study this stuff, it's very easy to tell the difference. Very. So I don't understand I am starting to think there's a woman named Emma Jo Morris. She wrote an article about this in Breitbart. I've been thinking about it for at least 6 weeks. It goes back to her. She went to the White House Correspondents' Dinner in Washington, and she said that in the middle of that dinner, it suddenly occurred to her that the problem wasn't that the left-wing media is actually shilling for the Democratic Party or for liberalism. She came to the conclusion that these people are all mentally ill. And I'm starting to think there's something to this, that I don't know what it is with the press. I've been dealing with the press for 50 years. I mean, I was a child prodigy musician. I was interviewed by a newspaper when I was 12 years old. And I still remember this distinctly. I told that interviewer something off the record. I asked, and he published it. And the reason he published it, of course, I'm stupid at that time, is that he realized, well, I'm a 12-year-old, there's nothing I can do about it. And, he's right. I got really mad. But the thing is, I am 12. There's nothing I can do about it. Right. And of course, it took me a few years to figure that out. But my point is, I've been dealing with the press for that long a period of time. It is astonishing how dishonest these people are. And I worked in the press for a little bit of a while. I mean, I was a magazine editor. I ran Client News until recently, and I have some news about that we're in with the show. I don't understand how these people how they can think in such regimented manners. The fact of the matter is we can hold two ideas in our heads at once, and they can't. They either think we can't or they can't, one or the other. I don't know what the deal is, but they can't. Yeah, crop circles can be made by humans and non-human entities, both. The Pentagon can float misinformation about UFOs, and UFOs can be real. Both those things can be true, and they are, by the way. I I'm start I'm I don't I actually don't like to write because writing is hard. I don't. This comes way easier to me than writing. There's millions of people in America. They write columns. They write for their blogs. They write for internet publications. Because that's what they do. This is what I do. There's very few people that are good at talking the way I am, and I'm very well aware of that. But I'm thinking I might have to write a piece or something to actually. This was in the Wall Street Journal. I mean, okay, which I've always said is one of the only two newspapers in America left worth paying for: the Wall Street Journal and the Epoch Times. That's it. And usually the Journal doesn't write crap like this. They're usually, but this was crap. The problem is at the end of the day, and this quote has been floated by the scientific community for like 40, 50 years now, where Carl Sagan said extraordinary claims demand extraordinary evidence. Actually, that's not true. That isn't. Extraordinary claims demand solid evidence, period. It doesn't have to be extraordinary. The fact that you can't wrap your mind around the fact that extraterrestrials are coming to Earth is not my problem. It isn't. And so, and this one of the people in the story said the same thing. They said, okay, ET's coming to Earth. Where's the proof? Where's the scientific proof? Here's the thing, folks. It's not a scientific problem. It isn't. It's a social problem. We have way. If you were to take this to court, first of all, if I was uh, defending on the defense side here, I could keep the jury engaged for months with evidence, months. There, there's just no. There's so much evidence, it's ridiculous. So the point gets to the point. It gets to the point where how much evidence do you need, you know, to decide? People can't fly across the universe. This one guy said, Proxima Centauri is 4.5 light years away. It would take 70,000 years to get here. Well, no, yeah, using our science, you're going to the assumption that we have the state of the art, that it's the best we can ever do. Do I have to go back in just 100 years? I mean, even when Chuck Yeager broke the sound barrier in 1947, there are a lot of people think that it can never be done ever. I mean, I can give you example after example after example of this, about the fact that 100 years ago, there's stuff we're doing now that would be completely inconceivable. And here's the amazing thing: I've talked about this before. We actually know how to fly faster than the speed of light. We know how to do it. There's Miguel Abercrombie. I never pronounce this guy's name right. He's Mexican physicist. Abercrombie came up, which was now conceivably or conventionally called warp drive. It would work. Theoretically, we know how to do it. The problem, we can't muster that sort of energy. Even under his calculations, a small spacecraft would use more than all the electricity generated on Earth. What we don't have, that we can't. That doesn't mean somebody else can't do it. It doesn't. Especially considering the fact that our civilization and our planet is relatively young in the vast scheme of things, which is the scary part. That's the part that people don't want to talk about. The fact that almost any civilization that we run into is going to be more advanced than us. And that scares the bejesus out of a lot of people. We've been on the top of the totem pole here for, millennia, for basically, the entirety of human existence. You go back, even we vanquished even the Neanderthals, and they were another type of human. And so now this Homo sapiens reign supreme until the people from Zeta Reticuli show up, and my God, they know way more than we do. And that's going to scare the crap out of a whole bunch of people, especially people whose livelihood is dependent on the fact that they're right. Oh man, I just, I'm re, you know, the amazing thing is I kind of had this on my scorecard for tonight to talk about, but I didn't expect it to come up there. Maybe we made a little bit of a segue. Yeah. So their problem is they're wrong. That's the problem. Now, I've talked about this briefly, and I don't want to go into too much detail. I'm in the process of working with a filmmaker. We're working on a documentary where the the germ of that documentary is the fact that the UFO phenomena is not a scientific problem; it's a social problem. That's the germ of that documentary. And yeah, I'm riding with it, man. It's like you have to understand this. And just because the government doesn't, people talking about disclosure, we don't need disclosure. There's already more than enough evidence this is happening. I can't even. That's the reason I have these people on the show. It's like banga 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 banga. I'm trying to pound this out. People say, "Where's the evidence?" Well, I can't talk about the evidence because I would be talking that week nonstop. There's so much evidence. That's the thing. My friends in 2017, when the New York Times came out with a report, the Tic Tac report from the Nimitz, my friends, I've been talking about this for a year. My friends were astonished. They were stunned. And this also, just as an aside, I'm astonished by all the people that were so astonished when Joe Biden totally fucked up that interview with or that debate with Donald Trump. How could you not know? I had friends who were absolutely shocked that he was in that condition. It's like, where have you been? You know, I don't understand how you could not have known that. It's like, man, I still think to this day that's his enemies or adversaries actually put him up to the debate to get him off the stage because they knew that would happen. And also, the other thing is, this is entirely speculation on my part, my opinion. I have no proof of this at all. It's obvious that to me that when he was gave those major speeches, they were juicing him up with some vaccination up his ass, and somehow that night they didn't do that, or they gave him a placebo, one or the other. It did not work. It didn't take if they did it. And so, I mean, I wonder, and there's a lot of people who speculated this that even though supposedly that debate was his idea, that he was pushing for it, they said, "Okay, old man, you want to do this? You go right ahead. You go out there and make an ass out of yourself." And they did not juice him up, and he made an ass out of himself. I don't understand how you could not have followed that and knew that was going to happen. It's the same thing with the UFO thing. I don't understand after 30 years of all this evidence how you have not have followed this and be shocked by the fact that the pilots are seeing these things fly around. And this also gets to another thing too. So the Pentagon wants to say, "Oh, this is all we planted all of this." What about that? Now, what about this too? The what's called the Buka ball, the Buka sphere. This just happened about a month ago in Buca, Colombia. So people are filming this ball, the sphere, flying around, and it lands at a field, and they recover it. First of all, there's multiple videos of this thing flying from multiple angles by multiple people. Got that? So one guy climbs into the forest and he actually retrieves the thing because they knew where it landed because they had video. And now they don't know what this thing is. It has no seams. They've x-rayed it. It has computer chips on the inside. It has strange writing on the outside that some AI computer more or less convolutedly translated as something about consciousness. And this woman, and there's this woman, I can't remember her name, and I think she might be a government plant. Once again, my opinion. I have no proof of this, but I think this because all of a sudden she's the person everybody's interviewing. And she says, "Well, it looks to me like it's somebody's art project." How many art projects do you know that fly? How many steel balls fly? How do seriously, how are you going to explain this? It's a steel ball that we know for a fact. We have video from multiple sources and multiple angles of it flying. How many steel balls fly? Now, a guy named Patrick Jackson, he's written a book. He's a data scientist, and he said that what's going on here, what he's figured out is that these steel balls that have been seen all over the world, I mean, usually they're called orbs and spheres, but they are literally the few that have landed, they are literally steel balls. And the one that was found in Buca is about a little more than a foot across. He says they're all networked together, that they're running as a giant worldwide network. Apparently, but from what he's been able to put together to protect humanity from outside sources. They're like a worldwide iron dome. He also says that he thinks a lot of these things are causing either all, I don't buy this, or part of, I buy that, what people call paranormal phenomena. They have been programmed to do weird shit to keep people away from them because they're highly radioactive. And the guy who picked this thing up in Buca, Colombia, who actually picked up he got very sick. He got radiation poisoning. So you're going to tell me all of this stuff that all these people have reported, and like I said, I'm even cutting off 95% of it. I'm cutting off 95% of it. That's bogus, well-meaning people misidentifying stuff or bullshit. That's still with the 5% left. You're going to tell me that there's no evidence for this. Yeah, okay, you go right ahead. You do that. That's that's the thing here, folks. The reason I feel so um, um, strongly about this, it's not really a matter of ET. It's just a matter of social construct. We have ample evidence, and people still don't want to buy this. And I don't need the president of the United States to tell me ET is real. I don't need it. I've seen the evidence myself, and then you can see it too if you look. And one of the points of this program is to bring these people that have this evidence to light. That's one of the things I'm trying to and want to do. So you stick with us and you're going to see more of this. We got a big summer coming up here. I mean, like I said, at the top of the show, all of a sudden people want to be on the show. And that's fantastic. I can't tell you how happy about this after 238 shows. So one more thing I got to talk about here, and I alluded to this briefly earlier, and that is Kong News, our sponsor. We did not run commercial for them last night. We have the last few days because Kong News has gone kaput. They pulled the plug on it last week after 5 years. So, and that's unfortunate, but things are business is business, and you got to do what you got to do. So I'm already have some feelers on another sponsor, and the problem with losing Con News is, I mean, I actually used it. I used to work there, so it was a fantastic product. I have people who've been writing me the past few days saying, "Where did it go? The URL doesn't work anymore." You know, and I've written the CEO of Con News, Jeff Meyer. He has given me permission to recreate it on the Jim and Knight website, and we might do that at some point. So, but yeah, but for the time being, it's no more, and so that's unfortunate, but that's the way life works. So I want to thank you folks for watching and listening. Thank you very much. I want to thank Don Zorro for tuning in. Tomorrow night, Mark Beckman. We're going to talk about AI and Think, our regular caller. We're going to talk about crop circles. We had a 2-for-1 tomorrow night. I'm just talking out loud here. I really want to get to the point where we have 2 guests on every show. Now, you don't know how hard that is because that would basically be 40 guests a month. That's a lot of people to book. But that's kind of my goal. So we'll see. But tomorrow night we're doing it. Tomorrow night we've been doing more shows like this, 2-for-1 I call them. And yeah, I think it's going to be in part 2. We're talk about crop circles. We're going to talk about AI with Mark Beckman, part 1. That's tomorrow night. Thank you very much, folks. Good night, Uncle Donnie, wherever you are. And good night to you, wherever you may be. We'll see you tomorrow night, folks. Take care.